For a long time, the message of the Seventh-day Adventist Church was ignored, criticized, or even ridiculed. Its warnings have been called exaggerated, its beliefs considered radical, and its principles seen as outdated. But something is changing. More and more people, of different religions or even no religion at all, are beginning to notice something disconcerting. What the Adventists said decades ago is beginning to be fulfilled before our eyes. And then the inevitable question arises, what exactly did this church see before everyone else? Why does it seem to have anticipated so many of the crises, conflicts, and transformations that now dominate the modern world? In this video, we will clearly expose the main points that only Adventists have seen, and which are now becoming impossible to deny. Facts, predictions, principles, and warnings that prove that this church was not simply being different. It was being consistent with biblical truth, even when no one wanted to hear it. If you value serious, objective, and well-founded content about faith, history, and prophecy, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and comment down here what you think about today's topic. And if you'd like to support this work even more, consider sending a "thanks a lot. Your strength makes all the difference." 1. The church that warned before the world. Since the 19th century, the Seventh-day Adventist Church has stood out among Christian denominations for its clear prophetic mission to announce the signs of the last days and prepare the world for the return of Jesus Christ. Officially founded in 1863, the church emerged in the midst of a troubled religious and social scenario in the United States, a time marked by the great movement of the Second Great Awakening. Unlike many churches that sought comfort and adaptation to the world, the Adventist pioneers, such as Ellen G. White, James White, and Joseph Bates, based their faith on a thorough reading of biblical prophecies, especially in the books of Daniel and Revelation. They recognized that the world was heading into a period of intense trials and that Christ's return was near, although the exact moment was not known. For this reason, the church's message always had a tone of warning and urgency, calling on people to prepare themselves spiritually, morally, and socially. Despite the skepticism and rejection they faced, especially after the great disappointment of 1844, when many expected Christ's immediate return and it didn't happen, Adventists persevered, studying and adjusting their understanding of the Scriptures. This commitment meant that, for decades, the Adventist Church was viewed with suspicion by other denominations and by the secular world itself. However, many of the events predicted in the prophecies, such as world wars, political tensions, economic crises, and profound social changes, began to become evident in the 20th and 21st centuries, confirming the vision that Adventists had had for a long time. What's more, the church has not limited itself to being just a prophetic voice. It became a worldwide movement, with educational institutions, hospitals, and dedicated missionary work, reflecting its concern for people's whole lives, body, mind, and spirit. This unique history makes the Seventh-day Adventist Church a reference point for anyone seeking to understand current times from a biblical and spiritual perspective. 2. The prophetic vision fulfilled in the 21st century. There is a reason why the study of prophecy occupies a central place in Adventist doctrine. It is not sensationalism, but coherence with the biblical text. According to the church's prophetic understanding, the world would move towards a scenario of political religious unification, where the few would control the many, and individual freedoms would be threatened in the name of peace or unity. This prophecy is described in great detail in Revelation 13. For years, this vision was mocked. Many said, "This will never happen. Religion is dying. No one will impose their beliefs on anyone else." But now, the discourse has changed. With the rise of leaders who mix faith and power, the rise of authoritarianism in countries once considered democratic, and the manipulation of faith in public speeches, the warnings of Adventist prophecy seem more relevant than ever. Even the debate about Sunday laws, which once seemed impossible, has resurfaced in political and religious circles. The call for a common day of rest for the planet, in the name of health, the climate, or the family, has gained ground in global discussions. The stage is set, and the question many are asking today is, how did Adventists know all this before? 3. A lifestyle the world mocked. Now everyone wants it. For a long time, the lifestyle adopted by Adventists was the target of criticism and jokes. Rules about food, Sabbath rest, abstinence from alcohol and tobacco, as well as special care for health, were seen as exaggerations or something old-fashioned. But reality has changed dramatically. In recent years, science and medicine have recognized the importance of a balanced diet, adequate rest, and disease prevention through lifestyle. Today, habits that were once labeled reclusive or radical have become the benchmark for millions of people around the world. The Adventists not only preached this, but lived it as a living example, showing that taking care of the body is also a spiritual act. They were able to see that physical and spiritual well-being are intrinsically linked, something that society is only now beginning to accept. 4. Respect for religious freedom. One of the pillars of the Adventist faith is respect for freedom of conscience and belief. In a world where religious intolerance often dominates, the Adventist Church maintains a clear stance. No one should be forced to follow a faith against their will. This principle is not just theoretical. Historically, Adventists have suffered persecution precisely for standing by their convictions, especially about the Sabbath and prophecy. Yet they have never responded with violence or imposition, but with firmness and patience. This respect for freedom is a testimony that today attracts sympathy and admiration because it shows that faith can exist without violence, without coercion, and with deep respect for others. 5. They don't negotiate their principles. Seventh-day Adventists are widely recognized for the firmness with which they maintain their fundamental principles, even in the face of strong social, political, and religious pressures that often seek to shape beliefs and practices to suit external interests or passing fads. This determination is not based on stubbornness or obstinacy, but on a deep fidelity to what they believe to be the truth revealed in the Bible. Since the founding of the Church, this consistency has required courage and sacrifice. Adventists have often been marginalized, discredited, and even persecuted for refusing to give up teachings such as Sabbath keeping, a healthy lifestyle, and the expectation of Christ's return. However, this unwavering stance is actually an expression of respect for God's Word and individual conscience, values that underpin the entire structure of the Adventist faith. The contemporary world, marked by the fluidity of values and the constant search for social acceptance, is beginning to recognize the value of this integrity. Changing the truth to suit the context or to avoid conflict may seem easier, but as history and experience have shown, it is a dangerous path that leads to a loss of identity and purpose. Thus, standing firm on principles, even when the environment is unfavorable or hostile, is one of the characteristics that truly sets Adventists apart. This faithfulness prepares them to face the challenges of current times, giving them a solid basis for resisting pressures and remaining steadfast in their mission. This consistency also inspires many outside the church, showing that it is possible to live with conviction, honesty, and commitment, even when the cost is high. Ultimately, this attitude shows a people who not only believe in the truth, but live it, building a legacy of faith and resistance that will continue to influence generations. 6. Doctrinal coherence. Adventist doctrine is not the result of fads or passing adaptations, but of a careful study of the Scriptures, seeking unity and coherence. This coherence is reflected in the way they interpret the Bible, in their worship practices, and in the way they live. While many denominations change their interpretations according to cultural trends, Adventists follow a clear line, trying to apply the Bible in its entirety and not just selected parts. This consistency is one of the reasons why many scholars and even critics respect the Church, even if they don't agree with all of its teachings. Conclusion: what the world is beginning to realize. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is not just one denomination among many. It is a wake-up call, a voice that has been crying out for spiritual, moral, and social preparation for the difficult times we are living through. While the world is still trying to understand the crises, conflicts, and changes that are plaguing humanity, Adventists have long been seeing all this clearly through the Scriptures and fidelity to their principles. Today, more than ever, what only they have seen is beginning to be perceived by everyone. And this perception could be the key for many people to find hope, balance, and faith in the midst of the general confusion. If this video has helped you to better understand this current reality, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it so that more people can learn about this truth. Comment down here with your impressions, doubts, or related stories. Your support really strengthens this project. And of course, if you'd like to show your thanks a lot for our work, we'd really appreciate it. See you in the next video.